Here's a little bit of what we saw at yesterday's protests in D.C. Listen here.
We are in a fight. We are in a fight for our democracy. We are currently living through a president who wants to be a dictator.
The authoritarians, they're never satisfied with the power that they have. They push the limits. They break the law. If we are quiet, if elected officials are quiet, then we are complicit. And we cannot be complicit.
So we say to Donald Trump and Elon Musk, hands off science, hands off the Bill of Rights, hands off Greenland, hands off Canada, hands off Panama, hands off the courts, hands off the courts. Hands off the courts.
Hands off the courts. So Shannon, Def Leppard, Ilhan Omar.
Well, listen, I got to say, in politics, you got to have an opponent. You got to have a punching bag. You have somewhere to go. And Democrats right now don't have numbers on Capitol Hill to get anything done from a policy perspective. They can gum up the works a bit. Republicans have to stick together in order to override those things, and they don't always do that. But for them to be able to look at Elon Musk, to look at Donald Trump and say, these are our opponents, we now have something to rally around, we now have someone to fight, that's where they find energy. We saw these rallies all across the country yesterday. As for hands off the courts, the Trump administration would probably say, the courts need to take their hands off his policies. We'll see, because a lot of these showdowns are bubbling up to the next level, and many of them will ultimately end up at the Supreme Court.
And, it's really interesting because obviously, Democrats have seen polling that says that there's a weakness there with Elon Musk and they can attack Elon Musk. But the question is whether they can, obviously they're going to get a lot of traction on their side by attacking Elon Musk. But the question is whether or not they're able to convert that into favorability for them as politicians. And we're also seeing at the same time, the Democrats are looking at the lowest numbers we've ever seen for the party.
Yeah, they really do have historically tough polling for the party broadly and for Democrats in Congress. Now, they're going to point to Wisconsin and say that's where we maximized our opportunity against Elon Musk. He poured a lot of money in. A lot of other big Democrat donors from out of state poured money in as well. And it was interesting. We've talked about this. They weren't necessarily running a lot of ads specifically after Judge Schimmel, who ended up losing, or even President Trump. Most of the ads, from what we could tell, were focused on Elon Musk. And so they want to mobilize this feeling that people have, where they'll say they're for cutting government waste. They admit there is a problem there. They don't like the chainsaw approach. They want the scalpel approach. But, now Republicans have to have this conversation with themselves. At some point, does Elon become a political liability for them? For now, the president says, we always had a plan that there was going to be an abbreviated term for him to come and do this business. He will wrap that up on the time frame that we had already planned, and we'll still take advice from him.
And Shannon, as our go-to person on all matters legal in courts, I want to ask you about what I was just talking in the last hour to DHS Press Secretary Tricia McLaughlin about, and that's this case, this Maryland man who is an illegal alien from El Salvador. Obviously, a judge on Friday ordering the administration to bring him back from that El Salvador prison. The administration saying it's out of our jurisdiction, but the administration now has appealed that case after they did admit to an error made in not deporting him at all, but deporting him specifically to El Salvador rather than another country. We also understand that the DOJ attorney arguing that case on Friday has been let go. What do you make of it?
Yeah, he's on leave at this point. And so these are all questions I've got for the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. She's joining us exclusively on Fox News Sunday this morning because there's so many questions about that case. Our polls, many polls out there show people support deporting people who are here illegally, especially if there's some kind of criminal or violent nexus to them. But do you, in your haste to do that, and where this is an admitted mistake by the government, do you run the risk of, losing that political support when people have a question about who this person actually was? Now, the judge that ruled against them on this Friday, the district court judge, said there's been all this talk about gang affiliation. You have not shown me any hard evidence this person has not been charged or convicted. So that's, again, one of my questions for the Attorney General. Would it be helpful to you, not only in the court system, but the court of public opinion, to show us your homework. Let's see what you have on this guy.
But from a legal standpoint, Shannon, explain, because the immigration judge, this individual crossed illegally in 2011. In 2019, he's picked up. He goes before an immigration judge who determines he has enough evidence to say he's a verified MS-13 gang member and that he, quote, posed a danger to the community. Those words are in his ruling. But yet when Albrega Garcia later then sought protective status, he was granted it because he said he feared retaliation and, quote, harm from a rival gang. Is that not, in some ways, an admission that he fears an attack from a rival gang called Barrio 18 because he is an MS-13 gang member?
Right.
Yeah, it sounded like that for sure, because that was later that same year that he said, I can't be sent home. Now, some of the wording in these legal documents, and I'm looking at the one that the DOJ filed last night, said that he was worried about going back because of his mother's status as a business owner, that he was worried that gangs had been threatening him, had been threatening her if he went back. I don't think he ever made the admission that he was an MS-13 gang member, but it certainly feels portrayed that way. So there are a lot of questions about why he was given this protective order. Now, what the government is arguing is, okay, there was this protective order against him being deported back in 2019, but he never got any kind of legal status here in the U.S. He was never given that. Since they have, after that ruling, declared that MS-13 is a foreign terrorist organization, they say that ruling protecting him against deportation is no longer any good if they can show that he was actually a member of MS-13. They say the evidence is there. So it becomes a big technical mess. But I think the government feels like they're ultimately going to win this. They've asked this Circuit Court of Appeals for a decision by today, this afternoon. If they lose there, I suspect they're going to file an emergency petition with the Supreme Court tonight.
Even if he comes back, if the administration loses and they bring him back, won't he just be redeported to another country like Honduras or Guatemala?
Yeah, because you're exactly right. The question, the point of contention seems to be that he was sent back to El Salvador. So if you're going to use these same criteria and say, we have findings that he's an MS-13 gang member, that he's involved with human trafficking, send him somewhere else. Don't send him to El Salvador. Maybe that's the solution.
Well, he is from El Salvador, and so he should go back. And by the way, this idea that he's fearing his life in El Salvador doesn't make sense to me. At this moment, El Salvador is the safest country in the Western Hemisphere because of President Bukele and the kinds of changes he's made in that country. So unless this guy, I mean, to me,
I think it's that case.
Well,
you know, full of
prison,
gang members, and
that prison is also one of the safest places
for sure
to
in the
be
country.
In the Western Hemisphere, actually. And so, you know, the case does not make sense to me. If he is a gang member, and if he said, I'm afraid of a rival gang, that means you are one of the rivals. You are the rival of the other gang, so you're a gang member. We'll have to see how this all plays out.
These are all the complications of having 4 years of an open border.
Yeah,
so,
where we care more about who leaves our country and not so much about who comes in.
So Shannon, what else do you have on tap for us for Fox
we're
News
gonna try to unpack all of that legal mess.
Crazy.
And it's on a fast track docket, so it's going to be very quickly today. So we'll try to get through all that. We're obviously going to talk about the tariffs. We're going to talk about that with a Senate Democrat, a Senate Republican. We got both sides of the aisle covered. Mark Wayne Mullen, Chris Coons with us. And we're going to dig into the TikTok deal possibly coming together. So there's a lot to unpack. And this budget framework that they passed in, the middle of the night on Saturday, there are critics on the left and the right. So where does that thing go? We'll have to see.
And, all right. And luckily we have you to bring clarity to all of it. So we'll
do my best
as always. And we'll be watching, so then we'll walk away with a full understanding.
And we will play Photograph by Def Leppard in your honor at some point during
the music.
We'll do that we'll do that as our coming into the next hour. We'll make sure that happens. Thank you, Shannon.
Great to see you guys.
Great to see you.
Bye-bye.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.